Once upon a time, in a quiet temple nestled at the edge of a lush green mountain, there lived a little monk named Tomo. Now, Tomo was no ordinary monk. He had a heart as kind as the morning sun, and a curiosity that knew no bounds. Every day he would sit at the feet of his wise master, Master Li, soaking in his teachings like a sponge. Master Li, with his long white beard and twinkling eyes, was a beacon of wisdom and patience, guiding young Tomo on his spiritual journey. One day after their morning meditation, Master Li turned to Tomo and said, "My child, true wisdom doesn't just come from chanting scriptures or performing rituals. It also comes from observing the world around us. Do you understand?" Tomo, always eager to learn, nodded his head enthusiastically. "Yes, Master. I want to observe the world and gain wisdom." Master Li smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Then go to the Whispering Woods, my child. There you will find much to observe and learn." With a respectful bow, Tomo set off on his journey to the woods. The path was lined with vibrant flowers and the air was filled with the sweet melody of birds. As he walked, Tomo couldn't help but hum along, his heart light with joy. But as he rounded a bend in the path, his smile vanished. Before him lay a raging river, its waters swollen from recent rains. The current was so strong that it made crossing the river seem like a dangerous feat. Tomo stood there unsure what to do. He really wanted to explore the other side of the woods, but how could he cross this raging river? As if to mock his predicament, the river roared and crashed, its angry sound echoing through the trees. Just then, a wise old turtle emerged from the water. Seeing Tomo's troubled expression, the turtle asked, "Young monk, why do you stand so still by the river? Are you too afraid to cross?" Tomo hesitated, then replied, "Wise turtle, I wish to go to the other side of the river to observe and learn, but the current is so strong. How can I possibly cross?" The turtle nodded understandingly. "Patience, young monk, I know a way." And with that, the turtle slowly began to walk into the river. Peering cautiously into the water, Tomo saw a small sandy patch under the riverbed. Quickly, he followed the turtle onto the patch and waded into the shallow water. The water reached his knees, then his thighs, and finally his waist. But the river's current was so strong that despite his best efforts, it kept pulling him downstream. Panic started to rise within him. He struggled to keep his footing, but the more he struggled, the deeper in the water he sank. "Help!" he cried out, his voice barely audible above the roar of the river. Suddenly, he felt a firm grip on his robe. Pulling himself toward the bank, the turtle helped Tomo out of the water and onto the solid ground. Panting and shaken, Tomo looked back at the river. Its surface now seemed calmer, but he knew that beneath its stillness, the current was still strong. Bowing his head in gratitude, Tomo thanked the turtle for saving his life. The turtle, his wise eyes twinkling, replied, "Do not worry, young monk, you are safe now. But remember, even the calmest-looking rivers can be dangerous. Always observe and respect nature, for its power lies not only in its beauty, but also in its strength." Tomo, humbled by the experience, nodded slowly. He understood that the turtle had taught him a valuable lesson about respecting the power of nature. However, Tomo's journey of observation and learning was far from over. So with renewed determination and respect for the natural world, he continued on his path into the Whispering Woods. As he ventured deeper into the woods, the sounds of the river gradually faded away, replaced by the rustle of leaves and the chirping of crickets. Suddenly, perched on a low-hanging branch, Tomo spotted a small bird struggling frantically. Its tiny body trembled as it tried to free itself from the sticky situation. With a heart full of compassion, Tomo rushed to the bird's aid. "Don't worry, little bird," he said softly, trying to calm it down. Gently, he reached out his hand, but the bird, startled by his sudden appearance, panicked and let out a sharp chirp before flapping its wings and flying away into the dense foliage. Unfazed, Tomo followed the bird's erratic flight path, determined to help. Pushing aside branches and leaping over fallen logs, he pursued the bird deeper into the heart of the woods. Finally, the bird landed on a thin, flimsy twig that hung precariously over another raging river. Tomo quickly raced to the bank and saw that the bird was trapped on a tiny twig in the middle of the turbulent stream. The river was too wide to jump and too strong to wade through. Tomo searched for a way to help the bird and noticed a long, sturdy vine that had fallen near him. With quick movements, he secured one end of the vine to a nearby tree and carefully started to swing the other end toward the river. Seemingly sensing the danger it was in, the bird huddled on the twig, trembling and chirping pitifully. Taking a deep breath, Tomo steadied the vine and swung again, this time closer to the distressed bird. As he approached, the bird's frantic chirping grew louder. Understanding that the bird was scared, Tomo spoke in a soothing voice. "Don't be afraid, little bird. I am here to help you." His calm tone and reassuring words seemed to soothe the bird slightly, calming its panicked breathing. Then suddenly, without any further ado, Tomo leaned forward and swiftly grabbed the bird in his hands. The bird stopped its frantic chirping and went still in his grasp. Gently, Tomo examined it and found that it was only a little singed and exhausted. Relieved, he smiled, his heart swelling with kindness. Carefully, he wrapped the bird in his robe to keep it warm and secure, and turned his attention back to the river. Securing the other end of the vine to the bank, he improvised a makeshift stretcher by placing the bird in the center and tying the ends to the vines. With slow, steady movements, he began to pull the stretcher across the river. Despite the current's resistance, Tomo's determination didn't waver. He moved steadily, making sure the bird remained safe and comfortable in its makeshift bed. Finally, he reached the opposite bank. Carefully, he lifted the bird from the stretcher, still keeping it wrapped in his robe to protect it. Looking around, he spotted a bush laden with ripe berries. Rushing to it, he plucked some berries and, breaking them into smaller pieces, smeared them on the bird's beak. The bird stirred, its eyes fluttering open. As it ate the sweet berries, Tomo watched with bated breath. Slowly, the bird regained its strength, and with a final chirp, it took flight and disappeared into the vast blue sky. Overcome with a sense of accomplishment and a deep connection with the natural world, Tomo continued his journey through the whispering woods. He observed the intricate patterns of leaves and bark, listened to the symphony of birds, and marveled at the resilience of the river. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows through the trees, Tomo realized it was time to return. He retraced his steps, his heart brimming with the day's experiences. Each step brought back vivid memories of the angry river, the wise turtle, and the little bird. Finally, as the first stars twinkled in the twilight sky, Tomo arrived back at the temple. Kneeling before his wise master, Tomo shared all his experiences, including the lessons he'd learned from the angry river and the little bird. Master Lee listened patiently, his gaze fixed on the distant hills. When Tomo finished, Master Lee spoke in his gentle, resonant voice. "You have indeed observed much today, my child, and you have done well to help those in need. But remember, sometimes our desire to help others can lead us into danger. Always assess the risks and be prepared." Tomo nodded, acknowledging his mistake in rushing to help the bird without considering his own safety. Master Lee continued, "You showed patience and quick thinking while crossing the river. That is commendable. But also remember, not every problem needs a solution. Sometimes the best course of action is simply to observe and let things take their course." These words resonated deeply within Tomo, reminding him that wisdom lay not just in grand gestures, but in the thoughtful balance of action and observation. With a grateful bow, Tomo promised to heed his master's advice. As the night deepened, the stars shining brightly overhead, Tomo retired to his room, his mind filled with the day's events. The lessons he'd learned from the angry river, the wise turtle, and the little bird echoed in his heart, guiding him on his path to wisdom. He knew that his journey was far from over, and he looked forward to each new day, eager to observe, learn, and grow.